I'm just going to quickly use this battleship against the targets that you shouldn't really be facing, basically. Just to show you that you can actually still use this ship. It's not just simply for power projection. So with it having 30 knot speed and really powerful and accurate guns, as long as you preemptively dodge the torpedoes, you should be fine. So as you can see, it's not completely unmanoeuvrable, and adding the manoeuvrability mods to it would not really increase this turning circle by very much. It might change it to there, but in terms of dodging torpedoes, it's really not much more effective, to be honest. So as you can see, the enemy destroyers have got insane speed on this playthrough, 40 knots in 1920. That is a bit insane. But the enemy armoured cruisers, I've been lucky enough not to roll torpedoes against them, but they've only got 21 knot speed, so it's going to be easy to chase them down with a 30 knot speed battleship. For some reason, they're not even running away, which is rather odd. suppose their only hope is to use their guns at close range, I suppose. Terrible ricochets. I wonder what his full belt is. 2 inches? Don't know how we ricocheted so many big shots from a 2-inch full belt. Alright, fair enough. Yeah, if you ever get ricochets like that, then just change to HE rounds. You can't get ricochets from HE rounds. They do less damage overall, right? But some damage is better than none. So that's the battleship up against a couple of torpedo threats. Obviously it wasn't particularly bad. I expected the enemy armoured cruisers to have torpedoes as well. But yeah, they're not terrible in combat. They're actually pretty decent, especially against enemy battleships. So if we're capable of managing to get a battleship duel before our campaign ends, obviously I've got to wait for it to repair, so it's unlikely, but I'm going to see if I can get a battleship duel. Just to show you. Well, we couldn't get a battleship duel, but we have got this against some more well, against a new variety of ship, a light cruiser. So we'll see. We'll see if he's got any torpedo threats. So it seems he has got some form of torpedo threat. He's got 6 kilometers, so we'll have a look once we've identified him to see how many torpedoes he's got and in which direction they're facing. So as you can see, you can just click on the enemy or just hover over them to see when they're reloading and when they're firing the torpedoes. So you've got a good heads up. You don't need to try and dodge them once you see them. You can dodge them as soon as they fire them, basically. It's not very realistic, and I'd imagine in the future they're going to be adding in some form of realism mode where you can't see what the enemy's got. But obviously, until they add that, you can use this feature of just looking at what they've got. So he doesn't seem to be firing his torpedoes, and it's possibly because I'm doing such a tight turn that they only fire the torpedoes when they've got a certain percent chance of hitting. So with me doing such evasive manoeuvres, that might be what's preventing him from firing his torpedoes, because he's also doing evasive manoeuvres. And he's also got damage instability as well, of course. So all of them things add to the fact that he's got poor accuracy, which might be what's preventing him from firing his torpedoes off. There we go, he's fired some now, so. So obviously, you wouldn't normally be using a battleship as a screening unit dodging torpedoes, but I just wanted to demonstrate that you can still use them in this role perfectly fine, as long as you're paying attention to the enemy torpedo range, as well as when they're firing, obviously. So you can, when you've just set your heading for your ship, if there's only one torpedo threat remaining, which I think there is, because I think that destroyer's already fired us, you can just keep clicked on the enemy. That way you can see immediately as soon as he's fired his torpedoes. As you can see, the destroyer's already fired us, so he's not a threat anymore. So it is an exploit doing this, so you don't have to. You can just play the game trying to dodge torpedoes when you see them, that's perfectly fine. But this is obviously the best way to play, as long as you don't mind using the exploit. Either way is completely fine. All you would do is just keep moving your heading if you weren't going to cheat by looking to see when they've actually fired the torpedoes. Just keep changing your heading. So because the enemy torpedo boat, or destroyer I should say, has got 40 knot speed, we could probably do with firing a round into him just to make sure he doesn't get away. And then just keep an eye on the enemy light cruiser to make sure he doesn't fire torpedoes at us. That's all the torpedo threats down, so now it's just a case of chasing after the remaining armoured cruiser, which is obviously pretty easy considering he's got such low speed. So yeah, that wasn't too tough again. We're gonna see if we can get a battleship duel before I lose to blockade. Obviously I'm gonna have to wait a month for that ship to repair. Looks like he's okay. See if we can find out where he went to. Moving back to the North Sea. And then fingers crossed we get a battleship duel. Well, we didn't quite get a battleship duel, but we've got an almost identical tonnage duel. It's three tonnage out. I don't think I've ever seen a fight that even. So it's against a battle cruiser, but it's practically a battleship duel. Quite often battle cruisers can be almost identical in terms of armament and armour. So obviously first thing we need to do is find out if he's got torpedoes or not. So as soon as we've identified him, we can click on him and see his weapon ranges, see if he's got any torpedoes. Again, it's an exploit. You don't have to use this if you don't want to. You can just do evasive maneuvers by changing your heading, and then eventually you'll be able to find out whether he's got torpedoes or not. So it appears as if he hasn't. I don't think he's going to have torpedoes at any longer range than that. I'd be very surprised if he did. Nope. So yeah, it's just pretty much a straight up battleship duel this is. So we're just going to head straight at him. Obviously, if you keep your bow facing towards him, then you're going to have much higher ricochet chance. Oh dear, I'm using the wrong ship. I'm using the ship that's built out for long range, so it didn't have any ricochet chance. But anyway, there you go. Even using the wrong ship with no ricochet chance, I managed to completely wreck him. I mean, he's got a few bulkheads, but yeah. So we're going to continue on and see if we can find a battleship. I mean, it's a bit annoying that I'm using the wrong ship, but fingers crossed we can find a battleship to duel. See if we can even beat one of them using the wrong type of ship. Sadly, I was unable to get a battleship duel before the end, but I think you should be able to tell by the previous 3 battles that the ship is completely battle worthy. It's not a bad ship at all. It's not just meant to be there for simply power projection, like the power projection ship that I've previously built. This is actually an all-rounder that's capable of fighting equally as well as most other battleships would fight. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful, guys. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Oh, and apologies about the voice. I'm a bit under the weather.